Hello, welcome back to Let's Play Jane's Fighters Anthology as we continue with the reference materials. We're getting close to the end of it now. We are firmly back in Soviet territory, and it looks like today we'll be starting off with the Su-25. Su-25 Frogfoot. Title Sukhoi Su-25 and Su-28. NATO reporting name Frogfoot. Type single seat close support aircraft and two-seat trainer. Program. Development began in 1968. The prototype, known as T-81, flew 22nd of February 1975 with two 25.5 kN or 5,732 pounds force non-afterburning versions of the Tumansky RD-9 turbojet and underbelly twin-barrel AO-17A 30mm gun and fairing. In eventual developed form, second prototype T-82 had more powerful non-afterburning versions of R-13 designated R-95SH. Wingtip avionics, speed brake pods, underwing weapon pylons, and internal gun. Observed by satellite at Ramenskoye Flight Test Center 1977, given provisional U.S. designation RAM-J. Entered production 1978 with R-95 turbojets. Trials unit followed by Squadron of 12 sent to Afghanistan for coordinated low-level close support of Soviet ground forces in mountain terrain with Mi-24 helicopter gunships. Fully operational in 1984, attack versions built initially at Tbilisi, Georgia. Production at Tbilisi ended 1989 with approximately 330 built. Production now at Ulan-Ude, all production for CIS completed 1991 to 1992. See separate entry on Su-39. Design features: shoulder-mounted wings, approximately 20 degrees sweep back, anhedral firm roots, extended chord leading edge dogtooth on outer 50% each wing, wingtip pods each split at rear to form air brakes that project above and below pod when extended, retractable landing light in base of each pod, outboard a small glare shield, and aft a dielectric nose cap for ECM. Semi-monocoque fuselage with 24mm 0.94-inch welded titanium armored cockpit, pilot on port side and nose, transducer to provide data for fire control computer on starboard side. Conventional tail unit, variable incidence tailplane with slight dihedral. Landing gear: hydraulically retractable tricycle type, main wheels retract to lie horizontally in bottom of engine air intake trunks. Power plant: two Soyuz Tumansky R-195 turbojets in long nacelles at wing roots, each 44.18 or 9,921 pounds force. 5mm thick armor firewall between engines. Current upgraded R-195 turbojets have pipe light filament at end of tail cone from which air is expelled to lower exhaust temperature and so reduce infrared signature. Non-wasted undersurface to rear cowlings, which have additional small air scoops as 3 view. Accommodation: single K36L00 ejection seat under sideways hinge to starboard canopy with small rear view mirror on top. Flat bulletproof windscreen, folding ladder for access to cockpit built into port side fuselage. Avionics: laser rangefinder and target designator under flat sloping window and nose. SRO-1P NATO odd rods or later SRO-2 IFF transponder with antenna forward of windscreen and under tail. Sirena 3 radar warning receiver antenna above fuselage tail cone. Armament: one twin-barrel AO-17A 30mm gun with rate of fire 3,000 rounds per minute in bottom of front fuselage on port side with 250 rounds, sufficient for a 1-second burst during each of 5 attacks. 8 large pylons under wings for 4,400 kilograms or 9,700 pounds of air-to-ground weapons, including new B-32A rocket pods, each carrying 32 57mm S5 rockets, B-8M1 rocket pods, each carrying 20 80mm S8 rockets, 240mm S-24 and 330mm S-25 guided rockets, KH-23 NATO designation AS-7 carry, KH-25 NATO designation AS-10 Karen, and KH-29 NATO designation AS-14 Kedge air-to-surface missiles, laser-guided rocket-boosted 350 kg, 490 kg, and 670 kg bombs, 500 kg incendiary, anti-personnel, and chemical cluster bombs, and SPPU-22 pods, each containing 23mm GSH-23 gun with twin barrels that can pivot downward for attacking ground targets, and 260 rounds. 2 small outboard pylons for R3S or K-13T NATO designation AA-2D ATOL or R-60, NATO designation AA-8 AFID air-to-air self-defense missiles. Excuse me. Dimensions external for the Su-25K, wingspan of 14.36 meters or 47 feet 1.5 inches, wing aspect ratio 6.12 meters, 6.12 ratio, not a dimension. Length overall 15.53 meters or 50 feet 11.5 inches, height overall 4.8 meters or 15 feet 9 inches. Areas, wings gross 33.7 meters squared or 362.75 square feet. Weights and loadings, weight empty 9,500 kilograms or 20,950 pounds. Performance, max level speed at sea level Mach 0.8 or 526 knots or 975 kilometers per hour or 606 miles per hour. Surface ceiling clean 7,000 meters or 22,965 feet, with max weapons 5,000 meters or 16,400 feet. G limits with 1,500 kilograms or 3,306 pounds of weapons plus 6.5, with 4,400 kilograms or 9,700 pounds of weapons plus 5.2. Length 15.53 meters, height 4.8 meters, wingspan 14.36 meters, max takeoff weight 17,600 kilograms, max wing load 522 kilograms per meter squared. Max level speed 526 knots, max range 405 nautical miles. Takeoff run of 600 meters, a landing run of 600 meters, and a surface ceiling of 7,000 meters. So here we can see the Su-25, which is basically the Soviet equivalent to the A-10, and like the A-10, continues to soldier on, despite some calling it obsolete. Although I'm not sure it ever got all the avionics and sensors that the A-10 is compatible with. Here we can see its single-seat version. It does actually have a naval version too, for operating off the Kuznetsov aircraft carrier. I think it's mainly for training, but I think it could also be outfitted for the same strike role, operating from the Kuznetsov, but mostly for training. No, I guess it's fine. I was going to say the nose looked a little crooked, but I think that's just the view angle and the fact that I can't get it to perfectly stop on the front there. And actually, if you do some research into the A-10 program, I forget the designation for the aircraft, but you'll find that it came up against the contender. Was it the Y-8? Let's see if I can look it up on my phone before it dies, because it's at like 2% battery. But it basically looks extremely similar to this one, and I think it's just a case of engineering convergence, because, you know, when you put a requirement out there for basically an armored, it was the YA9, okay, I was close. Because the requirement is basically an armored ground support aircraft, so operating in the same flight regime, there's only so many good configurations of that. And it looked very similar to this. Not exactly the same, obviously, but very similar. But I think that's going to be all for today. Next time we will continue with various Sukhoi aircraft, but until then, thank you all for watching and stay tuned for next time and stay safe out there, and we'll see you then.